Welcome back to Winning the Room. In this episode, we talk about comedy and human connection and the way timing can play out. Adam Spencer, a perfect friend to talk to about this subject matter. Let's talk a little bit about comedy and timing. I notice your timing is always great. You use pausing a lot. I certainly try and do that as well. How important is, it's an obvious question, how important is timing in comedy and how do you construct it? Like, how do you think about it? You know, you've got a joke. How long is too long? How do you construct that time?
In general, if you're looking at holding for a moment before saying something, you're better to err on the side of waiting 20% too long rather than too short.
Yep.
Just a little bit more of a gap for people's minds to stop and realize, well, no one's said anything here. What's going on? When you leave that pause, people's brains are subconsciously doing the work, trying to work out what the next word or step should be here.
Yeah.
And then if you're coming at it from a completely different angle, bang, especially at the bigger the crowd, a bit more of the pause. When comics first start working larger groups, they often suddenly realize, especially if there's any sort of crowd reaction or laughter or anything like that, they don't leave enough time. And one of the first good notes they get is just, mate, give it another couple of seconds, give it another couple of beats, then go on. Now, you can wait too long, but I'd rather run the risk of almost waiting too long than jumping in too early and the power of it's lost by people who hadn't quite caught up with where the thought, but then they might later realize, that was actually pretty funny when you said that. I just wasn't ready to hear it.
Yeah.
At the time.
It's the same with trying to make points stick in people's minds. If you pause before, you bring drama to that moment.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, it's that let the cogs turn, let it drop in, and then you keep going.
And if you're having a conversation that's a little bit more, tense, or you're not, or just having a great time, but you're trying to get to a truth or you're trying to get something out of someone, just leave that silence because people will rush to fill it. Most people are really uncomfortable. The radio people go, dead air, can't have dead air. A lot of people are really uncomfortable with that sort of moment of silence. Especially if you're ever talking with younger people and you're trying to get something in, like if your kid might have done something wrong, ask the question, just let it hang there. Their natural human response will be to eventually fill that gap, and you're more likely to get honesty and an emotional reaction out of just the fear of that silence hanging on longer than you are if you just keep peppering. Well, no, I'm asking you, tell me. Now, well, come on, just float it out there and let them just come and fill that space for you.
Yeah. And why do you think people connect so well over humour? Maybe especially in Australia. I don't know. I kind of feel like humour's got a special place here.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because you hear...
It's a leveler, right? Like it sort of levels the...
So I think humor is such a natural human response. I don't think there are cultures that are humorless or less in touch with it. I think there are some cultures where the humor is a lot drier and a lot more understated. And there are cultures in Australia, especially with your friends, you can say horrible things about them. It's a badge of friendship that I know you well enough that I'd be willing to call you out on what we all just saw you do then, buddy, that I would not say to a stranger or something like that. So I think our comedy is comparatively vernacular and relaxed, and we like finding the high point and stripping it down. And the great, there are certainly cultural mores about that sort of stuff. Like you'll watch an American athlete who's just won something at maybe state level, not even national, and they will just walk into the press conference and go, did you see, and they won't say me, they'll say, did you see the Spence out there? Did you see what the Spence was doing? What was it like to live in the Spencer's world for an hour there? Have you seen my car?
So American.
Have you seen all of my cars?
Yeah.
Right? And in Australia, if you won your 5th consecutive Wimbledon,
you need to sledge yourself.
And set a modern day record, and then said, I'll be honest with you, in the 3rd set, I thought I served superbly. Oh, a bit of a wanker, are you? I've just won 5 fucking Wimbledons, dude. I'm saying I thought I served well in the 3rd set of winning the Wimbledon. We have
a massive allergic reaction to that, don't we?
Now, some people say that, the Germans or the Swiss are a little bit... I don't think they're more boring as such. I think their humour is a much drier. I had a very good friend who was Russian, and the sort of stuff they find funny does spin on the fact that most people in this generation in Russia have lived through some really tough times, and they will find a humour that reflects that.
To coast, right?
Yeah, yeah. Whereas we deep down in Australia, we're reasonably lucky here. It's a pretty great place.
Incredibly lucky.
Pretty great place to be. And if you can't occasionally, have a laugh at your own expense for that, then, dude, what have you got to be so up yourself about, buddy? You're living in Australia.
Yeah.
I think that message sometimes underpins and plays through.
Yeah.
I heard a great segment once on Hamish and Andy did this. It's about communication and the sayings that you have. And they got people who spoke a language other than English as their primary language to ring in and give examples of aphorisms and sayings in their language translated into English. And we'll say fair suck of the sausage or whatever. And they had a young Indian man rang in, and he said when he was growing up, in terms of saying someone wasn't that impressive, and the saying translated in a room of lamb korma, she is a vegetable curry.
Yeah.
That's hilarious, and it's just got this deep cultural thread running through it.
Yeah.
But I've interacted with a lot of people from around the world, and I think we are very fortunate to have the relationship to humour that we do in this country.
Have you seen a guy online called Morgan J?
No.
He's like a comedian, but he uses music. He basically has a massive auto-tune on.
Yeah.
And he walks through the audience talking to them, but it's singing because it's through auto-tune.
Yeah.
Anyway, he walks through the audience and he meets with people he's never met before. And he's able to sort of start a conversation. Oh, no, this person's going to be a dud and just thanks very much and move on.
Yeah.
Then he meets someone else.
Yeah.
Oh, this person's interesting. And he'll spend 5 minutes with them.
Yeah.
And he's able to make that, like, he sort of figures out they're funny.
Yeah.
I don't know, in a couple of seconds.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm talking about? And do you do that? And what's happening?
Yeah, absolutely. So a big fact that you're pointing to there is that, and the stats are quoted differently, but the general point that a lot of communication between people is non-verbal, is given off by physical cues. He's done this for a long time, and he's really good at reading the physical cues. He'll be able to read nervousness. He'll be able to read someone pulling away. He'll be able to read the person who's trying a little bit too hard and wants to be the star of the show. I've got a mate who's a magician, exactly the same, right? When a magician comes over to a table of people, when they've
got to pick the right person to do it too.
Yeah, and when they're entertaining a group of people before you all go to the dinner or whatever, and they walk over to the table and they do 3 tricks and then they leave. Now, note the 3 because that's enough, and then it's bang, right? But and my magician mate says, as he walks over, he's probably got in mind the tricky plans to start with. He might have even looked, but as he's looking at the table on the way over, and he's looking and he's thinking, and he's probably got a person he's going to go to, but he says a quick hello, and just in the reaction of that, and my name's Adam, mind if I do some magic tricks? Even from that, I've picked the vibe of. I can certainly set him on going, dude, I'm trying to impress this chick here. I don't want to be part of this.
Yeah.
Or the, if I'm really nervous, don't embarrass me. Or the, pick me. Or the, mate, I'll fuck your trick up.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
He can just read all those personality types. And he will, just before he's got the first person on, and then he's even, as that's playing out, thinking, which trick will I go to next and who will I do it with? All reading these subtle, non-verbal, sometimes verbal, but non-verbal cues that group is giving him just from years of experience. And absolutely, like the amount to which eye contact gives people away, the amount to which just little things in body shape and intonation, and then the tone of voice. Also, I used to work with Will Anderson on Triple J, and I always used to say with Will and I that we got into each other's conversational cadence very naturally. But Will could be going on a bit of a rant, and you're just hearing it. I can tell the subtle difference in his voice as to whether he's saying, give me space, get out of the way, I've got this, leave it, or, dude, I'm fucking dying here. Are you going to help me out or just hang me out to dry?
Yeah.
Anything in between.
Yeah.
I could just tell in the slightest, just a slight increase of pace of, he's building, he's got this, he's slowing down, he's leaving me a gap, he wants me to come in here.
Yeah.
Now, that's from years of practice with him. But that sort of stuff is all, I think, that Morgan's great skill would be, obviously very quick-minded, but a lot of ability to read non-verbal cues.
Mm.
And the thing there is he's just as keen to avoid the person who wants to be part of the show too much
Yeah.
as the person
He's
who,
looking for great content.
yeah. But
He's
you
looking for the TikTok reel.
Yeah.
And they're the only ones he goes to, and he figures it out. It's
Yeah.
very interesting.
Yeah.
Mate, comedy and cancel culture.
Hey, let's go there.
It seems like being funny is a dangerous thing to do these days. Or are we penduluming back?
Two things. Certainly, as much as there is a pendulum, if there was one, it is swinging back a bit. Secondly, how much it is a pendulum, I don't know. Some people in this space say, look, you've always been allowed to say anything you want. You're still allowed to say anything you want. You've always been accountable for what you've said. So feel free to say it. But if you say it and people then choose to examine the fact that you've said it, well, yeah, you're accountable for that. You always have been. Now, I do think there are certain things, if you say now, you will be held accountable for that 30 years ago you weren't. I think about some of the schoolyard humour
Oh, yeah.
that we used to think was hilarious, that was all to do with the fact that a couple of kids at school had a slightly different skin colour to everyone else, or certain, girls were just a certain way and things like that. It's probably just not very funny.
Mate, I went to boarding school.
Yeah.
So let me tell you.
Yeah.
I was there.
Yeah.
Co-ed boarding school, in fact.
Yeah.
It was just brutal.
Yeah. I mean,
Brutal.
there was a
Fun, but brutal.
there was a series of jokes in our primary school where the recurring character was a guy called Johnny the Spastic.
Yeah.
And Johnny the Spastic found himself in a riotous series. He was like my Mr. Men series. He found himself in a riotous series of situations that he couldn't get out of because he was a spastic. And we'd all go, no. Like even that word now understandably brings around a visceral response because you wouldn't, So it's but whenever people talk about, you can't do it these days, but back in the good old days, you could. And I always think, okay, so how far are we winding the clock back to those good old days, buddy? When women couldn't work in the public service, is that rough with the good old days? Was the good old days when just before we gave them the vote? Was the good old days your civil rights movement? We tend to look back with very rose-coloured glasses at the abundantly happy, carefree past it was for those who are lucky enough that it wasn't abundantly happy, carefree past, and tend to glorify, those situations. But it's an interesting one because you hear, you hear someone like Gervais talk about this sort of stuff, and Ricky Gervais has very strong opinions about, you can joke about anything you want. You just have to, if you're offended, that's cool, but it's not my fault, and you probably shouldn't have come to the show. But some people, so when you've got a megaphone of his size and you're punching down on certain
responsibility.
people. Yeah. Complex issue, but I've never.
Do you still do stand-up?
No, I'm lucky enough in the corporate space to be able to crack like my.
You do corporate stand-up.
Yeah, exactly. I do my hilarious
vocational stand-up. I like it.
Yeah, exactly. My
It's a
vocational industry specific. Like I said, my non-smoking housewarming gag is housekeeping gag is as good as any out there, and you don't have sort of drunk people heckling you and number 37, your chicken chow mein is ready. Please come to the bistro in the background. But that sort of performance presents a whole different set of challenges. I did a tiny bit of stand-up, enough to probably develop some skills on it and realise how challenging a space it is. I mean, I have incredible respect for the people who do it and do it well.
Me too.
It's a remarkable, and it's one of the few enterprises where it's acceptable for people to come to your workplace and try and put you off while you're doing the job and pay money to turn up and abuse you at work. Like you don't walk into a restaurant and just be shouting, you call that a pizza, mate? That's appalling. Yeah, put some bloody anchovies on there, or whatever the case may be. It's just assumed with stand-up comedy you can turn up and just try and ruin the show. Yeah. Bizarre.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty high tension, I would imagine.
Yeah, but at the same time, there's something about humour that if you crack a joke and a group of people laugh, you feel great yourself, but just collectively around the group, there is something in the natural human response of laughing and a natural human response to comedy that is a great...
Makes you feel incredible.
Yeah, and I think it brings everyone together in a good way, and the idea that you're going to go to a show and in advance, or you just at an event and someone says something and suddenly 200 people are laughing at the same time. No one planned that to happen a few seconds earlier. When I do my AI,
And it's also not guaranteed.
no. When I do my AI, so I do this sort of keynote on AI that goes right back to the basics of what is a large language model, how does it work, all the way through to applications that are dropped in the last couple of days sometimes. And the fun thing about that is at any given time I'm presenting, a portion of it is entirely new. I might be doing it for literally the first time on stage. So there's creative tension there, but the rolled gold in that is rolled and it is gold. There are a few minutes there where I can just be, however well it's going, I just be thinking, I'm only 45 seconds away from doing the Garmin watch joke. This guy, they love it. It's going to kill. And so knowing that you've got, and it must be the same for stand-ups, knowing you've got something coming that's about to drop, that's a 95% chance to land is a pretty lovely feeling.
Yeah. Back to AI quickly. Can it be humorous? Can it tell jokes? Or is it just mimicking?
Well, the vast bulk of comedians who are telling jokes are just mimicking, for a start. Comedy's a fit.
What do you mean by that? Telling other people's jokes, or
no, just
mimicking the construction of a joke and changing? Okay.
Yeah, I think the structure of the vast bulk of jokes is probably very similar.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, you put them into categories. Yeah, but I think
how many categories are there?
I don't. It's not a definitive science as far as I know, but you could certainly.
But I mean, like thousands or hundreds or.
I would imagine if you asked a comedian, probably a dozen or so. Probably be a dozen broader families
that many
that would cover the vast bulk of. And the true genius is when you see someone doing something that you go,
the 13th.
Yeah, I really don't think I've seen anything like that before. But of all the different human endeavors, comedy will be one that if it is cracked by those things, will be cracked much later in the process because it is the nuance and the humanity in comedy is very challenging. I think you'll get to...
And it's also very, like, in the moment, right? You've actually got to feel what's happening.
It's a human interaction.
And it's sort of observation to joke. Like, that connection bit is...
You've already got systems that can create a scientific research paper as good as a human expert PhD in that subject could. Because without dismissing what that human's doing, there is a certain rigor and structure to that can be replicated far more easily than taking two distinct concepts and realizing, wow, here's a thread that links those that no one else has observed before. But back in my old field of mathematics, I've got a mate at the University of Sydney who's literally one of the best mathematicians in the world. And he's doing some projects with both that more old-fashioned AI that broke chess and a bit of large language model. He's engaged. He's attempted to prove things before with the answer. He explained to me one, they come up with a formula. You don't have to worry about this. You're going to be all right. As he explained it to me, the final formula was blah, blah, blah plus yada, yada, yada. And he said the blah, blah, blah was pretty much what we humans thought the answer was going to look like. The yada, 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 the AI led us to that. So I think you'll certainly see these things coming up with concepts, even in deeply esoteric fields like pure mathematics and leading humans along on the walk with them. And if these things keep getting smarter and smarter, I mean, there are certainly mathematical truths out there that our brains will never comprehend. We're just not smart enough. There are things that are true in the mathematical universe that we will never prove.
Give me one.
By definition, I can't. Well, there are certain problems that there are certain problems we have...
Describe one.
There are certain problems...
Like, what do you mean? I'm confused at that point.
There are certain problems that we have shown we cannot prove to be true or untrue, but they could be. They may well be true. It is just beyond axiomatic structure to prove
for
if
us
they
to
are.
know.
Yeah. And just think about the limits of our ability. If we lived on a planet, like I said, if we lived on a planet that had evolved as far as dogs, and there's no humans, there's only dogs on that planet. 3 + 5 = 8 on that planet. There's just nothing there with the intellectual capacity to see that. There are no doubt things that are true about the universe and physics and mathematics that human brains are probably not smart enough to get to. Now, if in the same way these machines run past us in chess and giggle at us now, if they do that in physics and mathematics, you may well get proofs spat out by the algorithm and the smartest humans in the world are going, I'm going to be honest with you, I don't follow that bit in the middle. It all seems to work. That's the best I can tell you.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
That's exciting.
Oh, exciting, a little bit scary.
Yeah.
Yeah, but really interesting. I mean, yeah, it's a naive and conceited aspect to have that our brains are sufficient that they can't ever be overtaken.
But I think a lot of people think that.
Oh, yeah, completely. But whether that then allows us to take our brains to the next level, you look at the level of chess grandmasters today, they're probably better because they have trained with computer programs they could never beat. Now, they'll probably never catch the computer program, but they're probably above where they would have been.
Interesting.
Interesting times, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when it comes to comedy and getting a message across,
Mm-hmm.
again, a lot of these things are about balance.
Yeah.
How much comedy helps, and then maybe how much comedy starts to, I don't know, dilute the message.
That's a really
And
good,
how do you find that line?
yeah, great. That's a great question because it's got quite a few aspects to it. You're absolutely right that there are some messages that are very hard to sell with comedy and you probably shouldn't. I think you're right that you can err in the side of a presentation of trying too hard on comedy or there's too much in there and people are starting to think this lacks a bit of substance. I think the best comedic tools there are ones that just come about naturally in the conversation rather than a joke that we've been clearly attempting to shoehorn into this. But against the backdrop of all that, before I started anything else, pretty good at maths at high school, I did a lot of debating. Debating was...
I heard 200 out of 200
went all right. Oh, well,
on your wiki page. I don't know.
yeah, I did all right in
You
maths
did
at
okay.
high school. But I debated at a pretty high level as well.
Yeah, no, I know you did.
And the thing that I was always... The two things I was lucky with debating were that I can speak comparatively quickly but be understood because I hit all the syncopation and the punctuation in my words. I just draw together, so lose it. I can cram 10 minutes into an 8-minute speech without you. I'm clearly going fast, but you don't feel I can't hear I've lost track of what you're saying. But also my debating style was always giggle, giggle, bang, giggle, giggle, bang. And if we're just going to have a bit of a chat, crack a joke, disarm you a little bit. But when they said this, come on, rubbish. And so there's
That's that idea of contrast.
Yeah. First of all, comedy...
Is that what you're doing there?
But it's two things. One, comedy builds great connection. If you can make someone laugh, they do feel a bit closer to you. Because the vast bulk of people do enjoy the physical release of laughing. And if you've managed to get a laugh out of someone who you've barely met before, or who's in a far more senior position to you, or who has a background quite different to yours, you're building a bond there really quickly and subconsciously that's worth a lot. And then, yes, it's then the contrast in that lighter moment to then focus and find the serious kill point rather than just here's 11 kill points in a row and we're just going to beat you to death with them. Yeah. And a lot of that's just, and it's all, but it's also there are so many different comedic styles. So you don't have to tell a joke to...
I think it's dangerous in business because it feels coined.
Yeah.
It feels rehearsed.
Exactly. But whether your comedic style is one that, my comedic style often takes the piss out of me because people do have me framed as the maths nerdy type guy. So that's just the easiest thing in the world. Easiest thing in the world to take the mickey out of, right? Other people are better at observational or what. So find your natural style.
Yeah.
Don't overdo it. But the disarm,
but a powerful tool to use.
The disarming effect, bringing people closer and then creating a moment of clarity when you can insert something a little bit more profound. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And it takes skill because I always think about the clown on the trapeze, right? Like an expert on a trapeze, technical, really hard. But if you're up there fooling around on the trapeze, not only are you proficient, you've also got to have enough skill to actually be loose and play.
You've got to make it. You've got to have a moment where people think you're going to fail.
Yeah.
And but also within a group, if you're a group of 3 people presenting something, maybe the natural comedy is, without being too self-indulgent, you guys taking it out of each other a little bit, so it's not too intimidating to the other side.
Oh yeah, a bit of inter-team chemistry.
Exactly.
That is so valuable.
Yeah.
People want to work with people they like. Level 1, level 2, you want to work with people who like each other.
Yes.
Right? Like, I imagine this team's going to get along well, and when shit hits the fan, they're going to, they're going to get their work done, but they're going to have a positive...
Yeah. If we're going to be regularly staying back after 5 o'clock because there's a deadline coming, I'd rather be locked in a room with you 3 than the guys who were here early today.
Yeah.
One of whom clearly just didn't get the other guy.
Yeah.
Some weird tension there. I don't know what's going on. Yeah, oh, absolutely. Again, that's that power of the non-verbal
Yeah.
physical cues and just the environment and space, that comfort that you're creating. Because at the end of the day, the vast bulk of people, I think when you're pitching for something or going for business or creating a negotiation, and it was the same in debating, and that was part of my comedic style. The adjudicator in the debate, when they turn up, they want to hear a good discussion, but more than anything, they want it to be pretty clear who's won. They want to be able to get up at the end of the day and say, you're both great, this and that, but I gave it to the affirmative. And they want the negative to absolutely accept that was a good call. And they don't want the kids sitting there going, oh, come on, or a parent complain.
That's an interesting mindset. I've never thought of that before.
Absolutely. And so
they don't want a line ball.
No, my style to the adjudicators was always, hey, how are we going here? This has been a lot of fun, hasn't it? How cool am I? I think you're pretty cool too. Are we having a good time? Cool. Because if you want to say that we've won, I'm cool with that. And deep down, I think you're cool with that. And I mean, look at them. I think we have won, haven't we? We're all on the same page here?
Yeah.
We're cool. Okay, great, buddy. Anyway, let's sit down and go.
Yeah.
And in the business, you're just trying to say, this isn't an easy decision. I doubt we are 95% better than everyone else who's pitched here. But, mate, at the end of the day, you can be cool with us.
Yeah.
This will work. I'm confident that we've shown you why. And at the end of the day, mate, I think you can trust me that this will work. And at least I will give it absolutely everything I can to make this work.
Yeah, we often look for those almost like micro agreements.
Yeah.
So as you're presenting, and you spoke about it before, eye contact, we use that eye contact to connect, but then get the little nod, I'm with you, I'm following.
Yeah.
So you get the micro yeses, which add up to the big decision, right? Yeah. Debating, you win, or I don't know, in business, you get the investment, whatever it might be. But the little yeses add up to an obvious big approval.
If you're presenting something and someone from the other side, just says something and pitches something in, the difference between yep, and move on, exactly.
Nice, yeah.
That little empowering, bringing you in of, hey, mate, boom. Well spotted.
Yeah, in this together.
Yeah. And it is overplayed by people going, that's a great question. That can be a little bit clunky, but a bit of, mate, exactly. That's why I love this, mate, because that's brought that person in and said, thank you for elevating this to, completely. That's the same with the use of comedy. You're just trying to create a zone of comfort where people are, happy to be where they are and wanting to go the next step.
Do you think about word selection like that? Because I couldn't agree more. Yeah. When you hear someone say, oh, that's a great question, and the next, oh, that's a great question, oh, that's a great, it's sort of like, well, firstly, they're not all great questions. Let's just start there.
Yeah.
And also that is just that's a rehearsed response.
Yes.
Do you think about that word selection, and do you try and have variety and mix it up?
Absolutely. And also, if you've got enough comfort in the situation to be able to call back something someone has said earlier. Yeah. JP, I think you described it earlier as tension. And I think that's exactly right.
Draws people in.
Totally.
Like crazy.
I'm empowering you.
Yeah.
Saying, mate, you nailed that earlier. Do you mind if I borrow that? Because that's made me feel a bit better. Bang. That sort of, and also in that sense, when little things happen in a big conversation that's going to go for half an hour, like I'm getting briefed on something or something like that, there's things early on where I think I could say this here to be pretty funny. We're just going to park that for a while. And if I'm taking notes about the general briefing on my computer, I may even put a little word there. And when I'm working on a paper script in a room and someone's presenting, they might say something 3 minutes in. The pen comes out, scribble off to the side there. Yeah, absolutely.
Use it later.
Absolutely. Or in the panel discussion later in the afternoon, I will always quote 2 things the CEO said in their speech that morning.
Shows you're paying attention, right?
Totally. And just
done the work.
Yeah, and just creates those beautiful
with you.
Through threads. Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny. Often people turn up when they're trying to get it better at presenting, and they kind of present it, I'm going to call it 10, right? They start, they're big, they're enthusiastic, and then they've actually got nowhere to go. It's sort of similar in the sense that you want to start at 7 and then find 10, but then pull it back to 5 and use that, ebb and flow, really.
Yeah. You can't. You can come in too hot.
Yeah. Just run out of runway, I guess.
Yeah.
Adam, thank you for your time. It has been a real pleasure. You're a generous man.
The pleasure has been entirely 2 ways. It's been great. Grappling with ideas. Oh, I love it. AI, mathematics, comedy. and I got to chat about
What could
myself.
go wrong?
Perfect afternoon.
Thanks, man. Thanks for listening to this episode. It's a really important conversation that needs to happen, and you can find us anywhere where you get high-quality podcasts. If you enjoyed this conversation as much as I did, make sure you check out the next episode.